Well, welcome back, everybody. This is Bram Lagrou live, streaming into the success community and also on various YouTube channels and the likes. Joining me today is one of our successful members in what we call the success community. And this guy has been around for a little while. I've known him for several years, seen, how he's climbed up the ranks over the years. And I'm very, very, very pleased that he's joining us again to share all of his insights and stories as well that might benefit you as well in the role that you are in and in terms of where you wanted to take things next. Julian, how are you going?
Glad to be here, Bram. Thank you for having me. Going very well.
It's great to see you. Always, you're always super busy, always on lots of phone calls and Zoom calls with people all over the place. So what are you working on these days, Jules?
Refining our processes, to be honest, and refining our deliverables. We never actually stop doing that.
Well, I know that you're very much of a systems guy. In fact, your business actually helps other organizations to get things right, to provide breathing space to business owners and business leaders. So give us a little bit of a quick rundown in terms of what the business is that you guys do and how you make a difference out there.
Okay, good question. So we are a virtual support business. We provide virtual assistants to companies all over the world. Our team are based out of the Philippines. We meet with companies that are at bursting point sometimes, just need that breathing space, need that help, not sure how to do it. Some industries, they can't find the right staff that they need locally. So they look at different alternatives, and this is where we come in. So we sit down, we meet with them, we look at what it is they're trying to achieve.
That's it.
And assist them with that through VAs, virtual assistants.
And as you said, it's mainly Filipino-based VAs. It's your own staff. I actually like your model because you're starting off with what we call a blank canvas sort of person. Yep. It's not that they come with prerequisite knowledge, background, and potential baggage. They're coming really with a clean slate. You train them up on what they should do for your client. And then basically you manage them as well so that, again, you're freeing up all the tedious stuff from your clients here. Isn't that true?
I'll flip that on its head a little bit. So yes, we have generalist VAs that can come in and do extraordinary things with a client. Mm-hmm. So we don't pre-train them. Mm-hmm. Each VA that we bring on board is dedicated to a client. They don't work for anybody else. So we look at them as being an extension of the client themselves or an extension of the client's team as to what they currently do. So the client needs to show us what it is that they're doing in their way. It's very particular. Every company has their own way of doing things. Okay. Yep. Not every accountancy is the same. Not every mortgage broker or conveyancer does things the same way. Conceptually, they're doing the same amount of work and they might be going through the same steps, but how they do it in their business is different.
They might be using a different CRM system and then so on and so forth. And that in itself is part of the makeup, right?
Exactly. So we don't train the VA for a client and then place them. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we get the client to show us what it is they want done, proceduralize that, and help the client manage the VA to carry out what it is that they're doing.
I love it. So basically, you guys have the model around, like the other way around. Most of the time, you do basically hire a trained up VA to be a subject matter expert in whatever it might be. For you guys, it's basically saying, tell us what you want the VA to do. Let's systemize that, procedurize it, and then let's train them up on doing it. And then we'll also make sure that the management of that person is done by us on your behalf. So it's a great model. I love it. How many people are currently working in the business?
Our team consists of soon to be 8. In our client base, we're around the sub 60 mark, but then the growth is in place to double that again.
Sweet. Great stuff, man. You mentioned something really interesting. I believe a lot of people that will be watching this either right now or later on, they will be able to relate to what you refer to as the breaking point. Describe a little bit what that looks like in the life of a typical executive, entrepreneur, business owner, manager? What does that breaking point sound like, look like?
It could be people that are working more hours than they need to be working. It's people that are staying behind to carry out tasks that are what we call non-revenue producing tasks. They're tasks that still need to be done within the business, but it's not their ultimate crux of what they could be using their time for, which is growth or creating their own internal systems and procedures, or additional marketing or furthering client relationship. A lot of that comes down to being what we call admin. Now, it's not what most people would call admin, because even in your previous role in sales, in my previous role in sales, crafting sales proposals, quotations, all these things were our job. It's not. It's actually admin. Our job is growing the business by seeing more clients.
Love it. So what we call in our time management programs, we speak about high value tasks and low value tasks. Ideally speaking, if you're a very knowledgeable expert in your field, like you mentioned, the accountant, the conveyancer, whatever it might be, financial planner, mortgage broker, that growth is, of course, the billable time. It's like you creating sales, proposing, dealing with clients, referral partners, and the likes. That typically is an opportunity to create more value for the business, which ideally speaking, the business owners should do more of. So they can do less of all the tedious stuff in the back end, which you refer to as admin. So I think that's great, because that's really low value. And if you can pay someone less money to do it potentially even better, faster than you, so that you can work on the stuff that actually matters more, pays more, and you might even love more, well, then it's a win-win-win, isn't it?
That's right. And they're not separated from you. That's the key. This isn't an outsourced service, for want of a better word. But Space, we come from the premise that outsourcing doesn't work. So our mission initially was for our clients to make outsourcing work. We've just amended that because we actually go further with our clients in challenging things like communication, understanding, relationships, to ensure that we give our clients an extraordinary experience in making outsourcing work for them. We're that buffer.
Yeah.
So it's quite funny. I did a presentation on this to a bunch of business owners this morning, strangely enough. And a couple of the slides that I had up there, a couple of my examples were, let's imagine you're in your 20s or 30s. You're in your house or apartment, and your partner says, hey, let's go and get some new dining room furniture from IKEA. Right? Or, your partner says to you, let's go and get a new bed and wardrobe set from IKEA for the children. Now, the first thought that flashes through your head are nuts and bolts and screws and dowel joints and and big instructions, and you're worried like hell.
In my case, it would be like, I wouldn't go for it IKEA, but anyway.
No, you know what I mean, right? But it's that put it together yourself mode, right? That's the analogy. Then as you're walking out, it says, hey, for furniture assembly, book an appointment here, and one of our helpful advisors will help you. Feeling a little bit more less stressed now. Yeah. As you're going through the process, they're not doing it for you, but they're helping you, they're guiding you, they're showing you what needs to be done, right? As well as working with you. And when you see the finished bedroom or wardrobes and everything else, now how do you feel? Very relieved, happy. It's all, you can see the light at the end of the tunnel. And that resonated with a lot of people when I did that this morning. That's what we do. Yeah, we are that buffer.
Your VAs are very much an integral part of the team of your clients here. They just have to be overseas, and they're
100%.
a lot more cost effective, so to speak.
Yeah.
I'd like to just continue a little bit more, because the breaking point, I think, is a really good term. We know so many people that are just either working, as you said, really long hours. Two, that might be doing a lot of tedious stuff that frustrates them, upsets them, that they really dislike doing. They sometimes procrastinate on certain things, and they sometimes not even great at doing it at all. So the breaking point, again, is probably also, if your heart is doing a lot of things that you don't like doing. It's breaking your heart. That's probably also a time
That's right.
to make a call to somebody like you.
Well, exactly. And to bring somebody else into it, for any viewers that are not aware of this guy, he's a good friend of yours, and you've had him at some of your events, Dr. John DiMartini. If you're not working on your highest values, you're not loving it. You're not going to do it well, right? So work on your highest value. So it's not necessarily a breaking point. It's more of an aha point. Because I think enough people nowadays are aware of virtual assistants or aware of alternatives, even AI, even technology, and all of these things come together. Not one thing is going to take over, right? So AI is not going to take over what VAs do, because it's not going to take over people, right?
Yep.
But if you're feeling as though I need to get to the real work, this is holding me back, this is right, and you know that you want to grow, you want to do better, that's where we come in. So we exist to for people that want to do something better for themselves. Now, our vehicle is that we do that through virtual assistants, and we help them and show them how to embed virtual assistants into their teams in their way, working their way, not ours. They have the answers, not us. It's a different approach. Okay. But we guide them through to making it work.
That's right. And I love also the way that you say it's not just about finding the right person, two, finding out what that person should be doing ideally, three, then train that person and manage that person. That last bit is a really critical one too, because I know a lot of people, especially small business owners, that actually dislike doing the people management side of things, and they're far better deployed elsewhere. And so if they don't want to necessarily become a great leader or manager, then they again can rely on you guys to do and the recruitment and the training and the management and even the performance management of that person. All of them it's almost like a one-stop shop for that too, right?
Yeah. And the risk of sounding contentious, some people are not good at people management. Some owners are not good at people management. We challenge that. So we don't just provide a virtual assistant, help you through it and stand away. If there are challenges on the client side where we need to step outside of the norm and work differently, or show a client how to manage these things in order to get it to work for them, as long as they have that want and they're open to seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, nobody likes or wants to go bungee jumping unless you are absolutely crazy. If you've never done it, go and stand on a ledge. I've done it, right?
Me too.
Everybody wants to do it in the pub beforehand, right, with all the bravado. But when you're actually stood on that ledge and you kind of go, okay, hang on. Yeah, a couple of thoughts, couple of doubts are going on here. So it's not a natural thing. When you're moving into anything that is new, when you're embarking on anything that is new, that is outside of your normal comfort zone, you kind of want to know that somebody has, number one, attached the bungee, number two, done their sort of safety checks, knows what they're doing, is going to help you through this so that you can jump more safely. Yeah. And then you're going to come back up.
And want to make sure that the cord is not too long either.
That's right. Yeah. So yeah, we do challenge, some people, because some people, they don't want to jump. Some people will never jump. It's not our job to push them.
Absolutely. Yeah,
not our job to push them.
I love that. It's something that you do very well, Jules. I know that you're very much of a consultative type person, that really makes sure that you do right by the people that seek your advice and your input. I think it's sometimes good to also say, hey, look, there's these places that, what are they called? Freelancer and Fiverr and, all these places where you can find VAs directly.
Yeah.
I got a sense that what you have is a day and a night of difference. How would you compare that, where people kind of try to get their VA direct compared to what you have? What's the difference?
There's a place for both. There's a definite place for both. It's like having somebody who is a contractor to your business. This is what these platforms would be if you want to bring them in. right? They are a fee for service for job. We're not that. We don't come in and just do processing, or we don't come in and do a project and then back out again. We're providing somebody who needs growth, who needs breathing space, who wants to work with someone as part of their team.
For the longer period of time.
For whatever period of time that is likely to suit them. So for example, and typically, Bram, it is for the longer term. Yeah, I've had people come to me saying, hey, I need somebody for 2 or 3 months. Yeah, it's not right for us to go and bring somebody on for a full-time position for 2 or 3 months. We then have to place them elsewhere afterwards, right? We are recruiting a person. However, one of my clients came to me this morning, an accountancy firm. They have 2 of our VAs, and they've had them for 2.5 years. And they're working well. But now they've restructured internally, and they are very heartfelt that they now are too top heavy, right? So they need to let one VA go. But this is the beauty. They are so concerned of what's going to happen to that VA.
It's a team member.
Exactly right. And they are literally part of their team. They want to make sure that person's looked after. They want to know what happens from here, right? So we had a meeting about all of that. Once they knew, and they were sad to be letting that person go, we weren't, because we know that's a great person that will be placed elsewhere with a new client.
Good story.
Yeah.
But
that's what it's about. That's the difference. You don't get that with a fee for job service.
That's it.
Yeah, you just need the work done. That's it. Out. Next.
Thank you for clarifying that. Now, many people that are watching this, they either have already come through some of our programs like Communication Mastery, which is basically our signature program on how to use DISC in any role to become more successful in our communication. And we all know that, the breaking point with communication point is when there's misunderstandings. People get upset. People take things personally. Something backfires. Somebody gets really angry. Client walks off and takes the business elsewhere. All these sorts of things, but also in a good way, making a sale or not making a sale is all about communication effectiveness. And so we've done quite a bit of work in that regard together as well, Jules, over the years. Share briefly what you've already done with us, and then we're going to go back to VAs as well with that in mind.
Well, I've gone through Communication Mastery with you. Loved it. Yeah. And 2.0. Even better again. Gutted I actually can't make the alumni event coming up soon. Also gone through Business Development Academy with you, which again, having been in sales and marketing in various roles for the last 30 odd years, the gray hair's there for a reason, still always learning something new. Yeah, from those courses, always a refresher, always bringing you back to, even if it's something that you know that is in your arsenal or your toolbox that you've gone, oh, of course, right? Always helps. So yeah, been good work.
It's so good to see that you've done so well over the years with it. I think I remember you saying that your closing ratio, meaning your conversions of quality leads into existing clients, has gone like through the roof, right? Like you really got a very high strike rate. So tell us briefly what that looks like these days.
Yes, I get contacted a lot, for example, through any of our marketing campaigns. Do you have an information pack that you can send me? Yeah, you know what my answer is going to be to that. Yeah, we have Zoom calls with clients, a discovery Zoom call for a reason. An information pack isn't going to tell you anything, but in those Zoom calls, this is where your Communication Mastery and DISC has come into play for me personally. Dependent on the industry sector that you are dealing with, because it's fair in a very general way to DISC industry sectors.
That's right.
Their job roles, etc. And that was an eye opener for me. Yeah, I'm a high I with a good smattering of S thrown in there, but I am a high I.
Yep.
To deal then with the S and the C's Yeah, this is where in conveyancing, for example, or in law, you're dealing with these sorts of types, different types of behavior, different communication, different styles require different methods of when you're going through things with them.
That's right. So in your sales process, your discovery calls, the way you lay out your proposals, the way you follow up,
Yep.
all of that needs a different approach, right? And if you know which one is right,
yep,
it's so much easier to convert those into a client.
Yeah, the funny story I always tell, a conveyancer, friend of mine, needed virtual assistants, needed staff, had been spoken to by 3 other companies that wanted to provide VAs to her. I had had 3 sit-down sessions with her. And now she's a friend of mine. You're right. In her words, I trust you implicitly. And it's still not resonating. I'm thinking, what is going on? And then after doing your course, I just went, I called her up. I said, I'm not going to talk to you anymore. I'm going to send you some information detailed as to what we do, how we do it, what questions you're thinking of asking, what questions you need to ask. Come back to me on Monday. I did this on a Friday afternoon. I said, come back to me on Monday. You tell me what you think. I think it was about Saturday morning, 11 o'clock. She sent me signed paperwork back. She could understand what she was, yeah. And I understood, and I just went, oh God, Bram was right, yeah. So I'm giving you a shout out for that, but it's very much, it is that different behavior style. So anyone that is thinking of communication mastery, it's go for it.
Fantastic, appreciate that one. And hey, look, well done on even using it in a context of friends, where sometimes you just go and do whatever is natural. But natural is not always the most effective from a business perspective, which is again why you changing your approach was really helpful. Now, I'd like to just briefly touch on one thing, because a few years back, you came to me with an idea, and I never ever had considered it. But you said, Bram, what about disc-ready VAs? And I thought, that sounds like really good. Because yes, if these people doing sales proposals and quotes, they doing follow-up calls on how are you going with that quote. If the VA would know what to do exactly just like you said, so that it's not just the business owner or the business leader or the BDM or the salesperson or the advisor, if the whole team kind of is all over it, it's a lot easier to keep growing, as you said earlier. So walk us briefly through what that opportunity might look like for, let's just say, an accounting firm, a conveyancer, a mortgage broker, and the likes.
That's right. So the idea behind this is having your whole team on board. If your VA is going to be part of your team, and you have put your team, for example, through disc training with you or through communication mastery, why would you not have your VA do the same thing? Not all VAs, but some VAs are interacting with clients, depending on the client. Some clients don't want them to. Some clients are more than happy to.
And by the way, that's verbally over the phone or Zoom, but also
a bit of both. Yeah. So one thing that VAs that we tend to stay away from, anything in the form of telesales, cold calling, those sorts of things, calls that you would not make yourself, or your call is not going to be received well. In our world, don't give that to a VA. You are not going to get the results that you require. Okay. And a lot of people will go, oh yeah, I'll outsource this to a telemarketing team offshore, etc. There are firms that do that, and they're very good at doing that. That's a different skill set than what we do at Space.
Yep.
However, naturally, take brokers, conveyancers, there's an awful lot of client follow-up, even if it's chasing up of documents or things that you need to move the project along. Why would you not have your VA trained in DISC for the type of client that they are working with?
To make it all easier. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Easier, faster, better.
They're going to be part of your team. Yeah. If the VA is going to be an extension of you, and you have that DISC training and that DISC knowledge, and they're reaching out to one of your clients, why would you not do that at the same time? So it's an idea to float around. It's an idea that would need to be worked on. So any client that wanted to embark on that sort of thing, would discuss that with you, with etc., in order to work that out to make sure it works for them within that team.
I love this. I actually remember somebody who we both know as well, who's a financial planner, who also have one VA overseas, and then also a few people inside the team that are not necessarily very client facing, but here and there, yes, they got to chase up paperwork because you need your statements, you need them in by a certain time frame. Some people are easy as clients to provide that. Others, you really got to chase them and kind of remind them several times over. But the thing is, when we know how to ask for a certain document in the right way, that the client on the receiving end feels good about, it's a lot easier than for them to give you what you want. It's all about communication. So at the end of the day, whether it's the business owner over here or the BDM and so on and so forth, and the team overseas, all of you serve the same people. And so the easier aligned as a team, the easier it is for you to service old clients and new clients in the best possible way. And it requires 4 different approaches, which DISC is a beautiful model that teaches us on. In closing, I love this idea. I'd love to actually be able to help some organizations with that, because we know that everything we've done in marketing, sales, even team building, call centers, reception, admin, and so on with Communication Mastery, our program, it has been phenomenal. And I think this could be the next thing. For people that are really, let's say, sometimes stuck in their business, as you said, sometimes maybe experience breaking point here and there, sometimes are disheartened by some of the tedious stuff that takes their space and time and effort and energy, but they're wary of, is this going to work? I've got burned in the past by working with another company. It didn't work out for me. I'm not sure if I really can afford this, so it's a financial question. What would you tell these people? What would be the best step from here?
I'm going to look really prepared now, Bram, but I'm not. It's only because I was asked to finish up with a quote that would bring my presentation to a close this morning. So I'm going to use the same one. It's not by me. Abraham Maslow, right? Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You will either step forward into growth, or you will always step back into safety. And if that doesn't hit home, then maybe this isn't for you.
Love that one. Great. Well, if people want to touch base with you, Jules, are you happy for us to share your contact details to LinkedIn and your website and the likes? Yes?
Of course.
Okay.
And anyone, our website, by the way, Bram, we reconfigured our website and it's being refined again, but wearespace.com.au. So wearespace.com.au. That website has been put together so people can actually see case studies, see testimonials from existing clients. They can see our process on how we do things. They can see why we do things. So that website was set up so that people can intimately know who we are, what we do, and how we do it, if they're a little bit scared of embarking on something new before they come and have a chat to us.
That's it. And if you're thinking of, hey, I want that information pack from Jules, you already know you ain't going to get it. He's going to say, let's just have a chat and see where it takes us. And that's probably the best way forward. So anyway, Jules, it's always a pleasure. Thanks for joining us today. I know that you got school pickup very soon.
Very good. Yeah.
Have a great rest of the day.
Thanks, bro.